Friends, every individual requires this elusive combination material prosperity and mental peace. There's no point having all the wealth in your world and your peace is in pieces. And there's no point being so peaceful and you're not productive at all. So we need this combination of material wealth and mental peace. There's also a statement money isn't everything, but everything needs money. So the whole point here is can all of us be joyfully rich, blissfully wealthy? I wish every one of us experiences that state of blissfully wealthy, joyfully rich, that elusive combination of wealth and peace. So to discuss this aspect on wealth, spiritual harmony in wealth creation, no better person than a good friend and a philosopher and a guide, Harikrishnan.
Mr. Harikrishnan is the founder and managing partner of Blue Lotus Capital, a global asset management firm that specializes in equity and currently manages assets worth more than $400 million. Mr. Hari has over 25 years of expertise making equity investments in India and emerging markets, including private equity and public market investments. He founded Blue Lotus Capital in 2015 after working for several years in leading international private equity funds. Mr. Hari believes that spiritual ideas and concepts can be integrated into the process of fund management and investment.
Welcome, Hari, to this group, to this mind and intellect conversation, to this podcast. And very happy to have you here. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sriji, for inviting me for this conversation. And this is going to be a different conversation. We are going to talk about more about the mindset of an investor, then where to invest, which market to invest. I think I prefer to be discussing on the mindset of an investor than the markets. So I am happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us, Hari.
Yeah. I want to just kickstart the whole conversation with the thing. How does Vedanta redefine wealth and the poverty in the modern life?
Right.
So I want to get your views on that.
I'm glad that you're asking this question. If you ask me, the modern concept of richness and poverty should be redefined. Number one, most of the success or failure, richness or poverty is based on material terms. That itself is the happiness doesn't come into the picture that much. They are okay to be rich and unhappy, which is not the case. That's where my guru, Swami Parthasarathi, he's 97 years old. I mean, whatever I've learned from him.
Yeah.
And he used to highlight people should be joyfully rich, blissfully wealthy. And he used to say, material wealth and mental peace should go hand in hand. What is the point in having all the material wealth and your peace is in pieces? And at the same time, you appear very peaceful, but there's no productivity.
All right.
The ideal way of living is where there is enormous material wealth and much more mental peace. So to get this combination, he says, your desires, your needs, your wants must be well within your income. Whatever your income is, you may aspire to earn 10 times more than the present income, but at the present time, if your income is $10,000, if you can fix your needs to $8,000, you're richer by $2,000.
Yeah.
If you're earning $15,000 and your needs, your cravings, your wants are $20,000, you're poorer by $5,000. So the suggestion is you can be rich all the time. Number two, the amount of money you earn does not really quantify whether you're rich or poor.
Yeah.
Number three, being rich or poor is purely your desire management. And desire management is your mind management. When we say mind management, you are not curtailing your desires of the mind, you are only giving it a direction, giving it a discipline. As a result, you are rich when you're earning 10,000, you're rich when you're earning 20,000, you're rich when you're earning 100,000. You can, the grandeur of Vedantic approach to redefining wealth and poverty, richness and being poor is you can be wealthy all through your life, materially, all through your life. It's not that only when I became a millionaire I'm wealthy. It is how wonderful each one's life would be. If you are earning 10,000, you're rich. Earning 100,000, you're rich. So that's our purpose. In fact, I wish anyone and everyone,
as long as you live within your means, I think you are wealthier.
It's an old age suggestion, but that's what works well in life.
So, fantastic to start with. And
so I have my question to you.
Sure.
See this, how can there be financial clarity in a chaotic world? The world appears chaotic in many ways.
Right.
But can there be clarity in the financial terms? So my question to you, I guess any layman has this question to a person who's wise in those markets, is how can we build lasting stability in the financial world?
So I will take it much broader thing. Is that not just only on the financial stability thing? So when you look, wealth creation, the wealth creation as also is each individualistic and it differs from each person. And like how in health, you can't have the same thing what worked for me will work for you, right? Same thing, health and wealth are very, very individualistic, and it needs individual understand the individual needs and then give the solution for that, right? So there is no standard formula for yes, there is some hygiene factor how for a health we talk about it. Same thing for a wealth also, there are some basic hygiene factors which needs to be followed and think. But everybody has their own needs, and everybody has their own risk taking capabilities, right? So it depends upon that. So in a general looking wealth creation, the one basic thing is that you have to start investing from the early, right? So when you are starting your career in the age of say 23, 25 kind of thing, that's the time you have to start planning, your investments journey starts from there. Compounding is the eighth wonders of the world, right? So how early you start your investment journey, the compounding effect is going to be pretty high on that way. And and when you are starting early also, which also gives you more time frame, even if you do some mistakes, you have a time to correct it for it, right? So the first and foremost, when you are looking for a wealth creation, is that just start early.
Right. First thing is when you with your first income, your first saving also should go together hand in hand.
Correct.
Excellent.
And that's what the first thing is, start with that. And we also seen that in the early age how you starting your investing in the financial assets. You also should avoid the having in the initial years having the liabilities. So we have that tendency of after getting a job, immediately you look for going for buying a house, and taking through mortgage loans and other things. In the initial years, if you are starting your career and with the kind of a liabilities in your thing, because most of the us we thinks that house is a asset, but eventually you don't understand that that's actually a liability. Every month you keep paying your EMIs and other thing. So my suggestion is that when you are starting early investment journey, keep your liabilities as low as possible, or even closer to zero. In fact, you don't want to have a EMIs taking away your large chunk of your salary.
Hari, what you say is almost mindset shift. because traditionally real estate is associated with security, growth, and I'm glad that you bring up this point because this is where most people, youngsters, get stuck. I have a cousin and a nephew, and again, they are stuck for 20 years.
Yeah, so initial years, right, when you're starting your career in your thing, you still not settle in your job,
right.
or you're not settled in your city where you have been there. Correct. And since you're starting a career, you want to have this flexibility tomorrow to moving to another company, or you say you are moving to another city, or you may get marriage,
Right.
so all these things. So the ideal time frame, if you ask me, to start having a liability in your thing, maybe after 10 years of your career. So something around, I'd say, 35 kind of a thing. That's where you've been seen that where to settle, and
Right.
you get some stability in your job and other things, right? That's where you getting into that, mortgages.
You
So
are a little
please,
more matured as well in thinking, hopefully.
yeah, the wisdom comes over the period. And yes, that's what, when you're looking for the investment, this thing, that's where you need to start with that, right? Don't start with the liabilities. As we discuss, you have to be spent within your earnings, right? After paying 30% to a tax, what left is only 70%, and within that 70%, if you want to pay 30% to your liabilities, then what is left for you is only a 40%, and within that 40%, you don't have any chance for a savings or investments.
Correct.
Right? So that is, in the earliest years of your career, it is that 30% what you have been taken as an asset you're thinking, but it's a liability, or you're paying for liability. If that 30% is available for you for investments, that compounds it for over the next 10, 20 years. This makes you a lot of a difference, right? So maybe, as you said, everybody looks for a house, right? That's now another form of a diversification asset as a real estate. But that needs to be done not early in your career. You can do it in the mid of your career. So there are some of the things which, when the asset creation happens, some of this thing has to be start in the early in your career. Then so the equity investments can't be at the age of 50.
Right.
But at the age of 45, 50, you can buy a real estate.
Correct.
Right. So instead of taking loan at that time, by the time you made enough of a wealth, so you can, without the liabilities, you can buy the properties. The thing also, what happened is that maybe, as you said about your cousins and other thing, even when we grow up 25, 30 years before, there is no financial assets which have this kind of a wide variety of financial assets, easy access to that financial assets. So we tend to be there either real estate or the gold, right? This is the two form of investments which has been happening and thing. And now we have a much, very wide range of investment options are available and easy to invest. Everything is available in online and other things. And that is also has brought in today why everybody wants to have take the loan, is that because today the financial options are available very
correct.
It's easy you can get it in your mobile phones now, right? So that's what my suggestion is, that keep as much as of your income for the savings and investments, right? And so start early and don't take your liabilities in this thing. The third thing which I will want to say is that the wealth creation is actually for the family, not for the individual. That is the must thing you need to be thinking. What is the wealth you are creating it is for the family's expenses, the family's requirements, and your own retirements, right? It's looking as more of a family than individual, because you will be anyway going to earn the salary for up to age of 50, 60, whatever this thing. And your every salary increment will take care of your lifestyle, and your lifestyle keep increasing on that. But eventually, to create the wealth and to take care of some of the liabilities which is going to coming in later portion of your lifetime, And so the wealth creation is actually a wealth creation for the family, not for
Right.
individual, right? And so in that process, once you understand the first thing you need to take is the health insurance, right? And investments is the comes later, or savings comes later. The first is that protect you and your family from the from the health insurance perspective, right? The health is the most important thing. Every middle class family is one hospitalization away from become a poor.
Correct.
Right. So given that medical cost today everywhere, not just only in India, even in here in Dubai as we speak, and everywhere the medical costs are so high. So first and foremost is just protect your you and your family. The health insurance is the most important thing. And the second thing is, I always suggest is that life insurance.
Right.
Take your life insurance, and which is also once again protects your family. Right. And then comes the savings, right? And so what is the difference between savings and investments, right? So I always put the investments in the fourth bucket. And the first bucket is your health insurance, second is your term and life insurance, and the third is savings. The savings is basically the money which you needed in a short term, say maybe 6 months to a 1 year time frame. Maybe some of your emergency funds, which needs to take care your sudden expenses, which may come up on within a shorter period of time. So that's the savings, right? So that can be say anywhere between 3 months to your 4 months salary kind of a things. That's the amount of money which you keep it for any emergency purposes to be used.
And where do you say you should keep this savings as
so
such?
this savings mainly it's a fixed deposits or the bank savings accounts and other things, because this money, it needs to have a liquidity, right? As and when you need it, you can take that money.
There's more on the
because since it's an emergency,
liquid cash.
Liquid cash, absolutely. It's a liquid cash which you need to be keeping on that thing. And then comes your investments. That's the fourth bucket. So by the time you secure yourself, secure your family through your insurance and everything, and you also created some amount for your short-term requirements and everything, then you start looking in the investment side of it, right? So when you're looking the investment side of it, it has to be really take the long-term call, right? Because your other things have been already been taken care, and when you're taking the in investments, this needs to be 15-20 years kind of a call.
So the long term, according to you, is 15-20 years.
Yeah, that's where the wealth creation happens, right? Warren Buffett made his maximum wealth after the age of 60.
60, correct.
Right?
So compounding
compounding is the principle which needs to, even if you compound at even a compound at 10%, the lowest double-digit numbers which are available, and you even if you start compounding it over a next 15, 20, 30 years kind of a thing, when you are starting a career at 25, you just see what kind of a compounding you must have been done at the age of 50, right?
25 years of compounding.
25 years of compounding that money at 10% kind of a thing. You will be really astonished the kind of a wealth which you must have been created on that, right? So that's where I look. This is the when you look for the financial stability, this is the 4 buckets which I look into that, and I look for that, right? And what kind of investments, and that's all is the next stage. But the thing is that
this should be your investment. This should be your portfolio.
Yeah, this should be your
health, life, emergency fund,
savings,
and it's like I'm calling it emergency fund. I don't know whether it's right.
Yeah, emergency fund.
Anytime it's there for you.
Yes.
And then the last one is investments. Investments.
We can then talk about what's the kind of investments are available and other things, right? But this is the broad things when you are starting this thing, and this 4 buckets which I spoken. It's not just you started earlier will be much more you will able to capture the last one of this, which is the investment side. And also it is also helps you when you go and take your life insurance cover very early. Your premium also is going to be less, so you can able to cover much larger sum of insurance for your family than say taking the insurance at the age of say at 40, 45, 50 and things. So start everything early.
Excellent.
That's what I think.
Start early.
Yeah.
And then along with your first income, your first saving should go along with it. The 4 avenues: health, life, emergency fund,
and the investments.
Absolutely. And allow it to compound.
Allow it to compound.
20, 25 years.
And the most important thing, you don't get into your liability in very early in your age.
How do we highlight this to youngsters? My guru in the ashram, when we start in the Vedanta Academy, there's this poem, Shakespeare's poetry from Hamlet, Polonius' advice to Leartus. In that, Polonius advises his son, says, neither a lender or a borrower be. Borrowing dullens the edge of husbandry, he says. Meaning, you work. Neither a lender or a borrower be, which I've been following, and I vouch for it. Very peaceful.
Yeah.
But I don't know, 9 out of 10 say, how can you live without loans? So, all that we are saying is, I wish more people take up to it.
Yeah.
They don't get into a liability at a very early age and get stuck with that.
Yeah. So Shriji, I want to just take this conversation when we started with this desire, right, on this thing. So everybody needs a desire, because the desire is the one which will get your growth, right? And there is this desire, after a certain point of time, it ends up into greed, right? So it's a very thin line, right, where desire stops and where the greed starts, right? And how both this desire and this greed impacts individually and in the process, the whole wealth creation itself.
Correct. I mean, I'm glad you asked this question, because I remember one of the discussions with you, you had mentioned in the last 100 years, there have been 17 economic recessions. You take world wars and plagues into account, and maybe 10 or 12.
Yeah, we discussed about S&P 500 US from 1920, and this is 100 years of S&P 500. If you see that thing, it went through 17 recessions and 2 world wars and multiple corporates, various governments and thing. But after all this 100 years, the S&P 500 has compounded at 10.5% per annum, right? For over the 100 years period, right? So longer that period, the wealth effect is coming in. Correct. So that's what we discussed on that.
See, that's why in spite of so many recessions, the reason is the same: greed. You can highlight various aspects. The reason is desire and greed. And there will be another recession. Again, they're going to say the same, give the same answer: greed. Sub-mortgage, subprime mortgage, and all those things came up.
Yes.
And they say it's greed. And it's easy to say that and get away. But how does this greed manifest? I mean, nobody wants to be greedy, but they become greedy. And
so that's what I want to just check from you. What's the spirituality or the Vedantas talks about it, where the individual's desire and the greed and how to control that, right?
No, first, we got to understand how a desire is formed.
Right.
If you didn't have your breakfast and lunch, there is an emptiness in you.
Right.
Even though there could be a meeting at 3 p.m., your stomach makes all the noise. That noise makes the thoughts rush to the world of food. And you go to a restaurant, have your meal, now the desire is fulfilled. So what we are saying is desire is nothing but an emptiness you experience within, a vacuum or a void, and that vacuum or that void or that emptiness creates certain thoughts which rushes to the world
Good.
to fill that emptiness within.
Right.
So that is a desire. So once you fulfill that emptiness, the desire is temporarily fulfilled. No one or hardly anybody eradicates a desire. 9 out of 10 upgrade a desire.
Yes.
Initially, they
Yes,
say,
we need a next version.
they say
Upgrade.
I was going by a public transport in Mumbai locals. You understand, to get a seat is a promotion, and if I
Getting
have-
into itself is the problem.
and, so it is just a motorbike is enough. Then a car. Then now that I have a family with 2 kids, I need to have an SUV which works out well. Now we have made money, a little more money, a sports car. All that we are saying is desires, we only fulfill desires temporarily only to upgrade our desires. this is, every one of us is a victim to it.
Yes.
Upgrading. What have we done? We upgraded desire.
Yeah.
You're in a studio, now you're in a 5-bedroom villa. Upgraded the desire.
Right.
At any point of time, you are a victim to your emptiness when you were in a studio or rented. Now, again, you're a victim to your own desires.
Right.
So, it is, all that we're saying is, this is the desire. Then what happens is, the other aspect they say is, these masters highlight is, desires are insatiable. The scriptures equate desire to fire.
Oh.
You take any sample of fire, it keeps burning until the last drop of fuel is there. No sample of fire says, I've been burning for 8 hours. Normal working hours is 8 hours. I need to cool down. Tomorrow morning I'll burn.
No.
The nature of fire, it will burn.
Yeah.
Nature of the mind is it keeps producing desires one after the other. It's like a tissue box. You take one tissue, another comes.
Yeah.
Another comes. No, that is how the desires, why it is coming, then how will you finish it? It's almost...
Right.
So, desires are like that. When the desires, and we have the mind and intellect, that's where our learning organization comes.
Right.
When you function predominantly on the mind, the desires becomes insatiable, one after the other. And you become a victim of the desire. Now the desire controls you.
Right.
See, this is one. The second aspect, let's come to the individual. See, each one of us have grown well. You join a school or a university, you become well informed in one or more subjects. You become intelligent in a field of activity. So we always highlight that people are intelligent, but that intelligence is pertaining to an area of life.
Right.
A person could be an extremely intelligent banker or a very sharp surgeon or an engineer. Their intelligence is pertaining to a field of activity. So this is good because we need intelligent people. That enhances the standard of living.
Right.
From a studio, now we have gone into a 5-bedroom villa. It has enhanced the standard of living. But what happens is, when you use your mind and intelligence, you develop a great evil called ego.
Right.
The ego is not generally developed. You have an intelligence. You know who I am.
Right.
You know what will I have achieved. Where does it come from? Your intelligence, your achievements, and your mind. The mind says you have achieved this much.
Yeah.
So the mind and intelligence creates ego. The ego, the word ego, the expansion is exaggerated glorification of oneself.
Wow.
The need
Nice.
and necessity to prove that I am better than others.
Yeah. Right.
The ego. So not everyone consciously develops ego. Most of them unconsciously develops ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next stage, the greed, is when you use your mind and ego, you develop greed.
Mind. Okay.
The mind and ego. No,
Right,
I am.
right.
It is the ego is it stamps your presence,
All right.
and that develops your mind and ego, propels your greed. I have achieved this. I can achieve more.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the problem here is the greed multiplies because initially you would have started off with an aim, an ambition, But when ego comes in, it becomes an obsession, a compulsion.
Yeah.
It is, you are a victim of that.
Yeah.
This is where greed, in fact, not everyone is aware that they are greedy. They are just a victim of their mind and ego. And the problem is that, and now that you've got into greed, it's very difficult to stop a person.
Right.
There are enough and more examples in great books, in scriptures, in our personal life.
Yeah.
What greed has done.
Yeah, I actually, even in taking from there, even in our markets, and when we look at that, right, every individual, so we all thinks that whatever the success you achieved or the stocks which you bought, which has become a multi-bagger and other thing, you become, you feel that, you identified the jackpot. So suddenly the pride become an ego. And then you think that next time whatever I'm buying, it's going to be, because I've done that previously. And that, as you said, then that ego comes into it, then it become a greedy. Oh, okay, last time I made so much money, then this time I have to make more than that.
Correct.
Right? Then that's where the fall starts.
Correct. In fact, even when the person falls, their ego prevents them from saying that I have fallen. So they do something else to try to make it bigger or, come out of it.
Yeah, actually, that way, the stock markets are the great equalizers, right? It levels you. There is no way. There is. We always keep saying that every emperor has to fall one day, and the stock markets clearly gives that, right? It's very few people who have been stick to that and been a disciplined patient and stick to that process, and they are the one who survived for the longer period of time.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you come and go, and so that's where the some bit of a spiritualistic mindset is needed.
Everyone needs this. When we say spiritual mindset, it's an attitude.
Yeah.
And I remember you gave me a book, the same as ever, and the psychology of money, Morgan
Hussel's. Yeah.
Some of the statements are very interesting. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way of having less money.
Less money, yes.
See, when my ego is there, you want to spend money to show others how much money you have. Oh, you have a 75 feet yacht?
Yeah.
And it is nothing wrong. I mean, let them have it.
Yeah.
But if you are spending money, if you are spending your own money to show others how much money you have, is the fastest way of losing money.
Yeah.
And another beautiful statement in that, no one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. No one is. I mean, you can have a Patek Philippe, but you have to keep on showing. You got to like this. You got to sit. No one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are.
You are, yeah.
See, it's a beautiful statement, right? And most people, even egoistic person, what they're looking for is respect and admiration. They want people to look up to them.
Yeah.
And the best way a person or others will look up to you is through your knowledge, your wisdom.
Absolutely.
Through when you portray compassion, when you portray humility, when you portray genuine concern to others, people who look up to you, they will respect you, they'll admire you. Nothing attracts another like their genuine humility or forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Nothing. So, if this is where the intellect comes into play. The only way to deal with greed is a strong intellect. Not intelligence.
Yeah.
Intelligence, again, just
intelligence, I think everybody has it right now in the given
it's a
information
field.
age. Yeah.
And you need it. But along the mere intelligence without a strong intellect will only go back to their mind. And they use the mind in every other role of their life, and they use the intellect in their field of activity, standard of living, and along with that, ego multiplies. You're driving a small car, now you're driving a Porsche, and now that comes up.
Right.
And then mind plus intelligence promotes ego, mind plus ego promotes greed. Now you are a victim of greed, now nothing looks enough. See, there is the perennial question: when is enough enough?
Enough, yes.
And it will never be enough. See, that as long as the intellect is strong, you are able to see how a market humbles you. Life humbles you.
Right.
Life humbles you. It is they say everything can be taken away in a minute. What
Correct.
happened in a COVID? What happened in a tsunami?
Yeah.
And so the life learning, spiritual value should go hand in hand.
Right.
We always keep telling all the entrepreneurs, the professionals, associate with good people.
Yeah.
Not like-minded people, right-minded people.
Right-minded people, yes.
I like money, you like money. When the money is not coming in, I don't like you, you hate me. Right-minded people.
Right-minded, yeah.
Associate with right-minded people. Let there be a satsang. The right kind of environment. Keep learning. And I know you read a lot of books. I read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Let that student in you be alive.
Absolutely.
And understand money. That's why everything, money isn't everything, but everything needs money.
Everything needs money.
Everything needs
Absolutely.
money. But money isn't everything.
Yeah.
See, people will remember you much more for how you made them feel rather than what you gave,
Absolutely.
what you did.
Correct.
So there's much more to money, and money is everything. I'm not saying ruling out, but it is essential that you understand the negative impacts of greed. See, if you want to be greedy, can you be greedy in smiling, being joyful? No, that kind of greed is okay. But greed which consumes you,
Yeah.
it will consume you, and the biggest loser is the person who's greedy.
Greedy.
So your mind and ego propels your greed. So you if you want to deal with your greed, first become aware of your ego. And then deal with your mind. For that, you need a strong intellect, you need spiritual alignment. That is why we say spiritual harm. There must be a spiritual harmony within oneself in wealth creation.
Yeah.
That's why I keep highlighting.
Yeah.
You could be rich when you're earning 20,000. You could be rich when you're earning 50,000.
Yeah.
So that's an absolute possibility.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, there are what we call as blueprints for a brighter future. What are the key steps in achieving long-term financial success? I can highlight from a spiritual point of view, but many people, they want to achieve long-term financial success. What would be your idea for it?
See, as now when the first question when we discussed the last thing is on that we spoken about the 3 buckets and other thing. The 4th bucket, which is we are talking about the investments. That's what this boils down to, right? From where the investments starts and how you start that, and over the years how you able to create that the wealth, right? And basically, what I always tells thing is that first understand yourself. That's what even every spiritual thing also starts with the first know yourself.
Know thyself.
Thyself, right? Bible 10 commandments starts with that. Right? So first and foremost is to understand yourself, what level of risk you can take in another thing in early stage in your careers, and create a good develop a good financial habits. That's the most important thing, whether it is on the earning side, whether or in the investment side, or on the expenses side.
Right.
You should know whether you need a fridge, but whether you need the double door 7-tray fridge or right, whether you need a basic needs on it, right? What is your thing? As we discussed now on this desire and the ego gets into a greed. This is the thing, because everybody wants to come and see my house with a double door large big fridge, right? So whether you need that, right? So the financial habit starts from there, not just only from the investment side of it, even from the expense side of it. We have to be very clearly disciplined when you are taking in this financial journey, and it's a very, you need a kind of perseverance and the patience. And because we are talking about 15-20 years plus kind of a thing, we are not looking, there is no overnight millionaire, right? And there is no overnight success, right? There's so saying, right, for overnight success there are so much of sleepless nights. Right? So that's where you need to take the longer call on that thing. And in that process when you are looking the whole thing, and we also needs to start with something when the investments, when we are talking about it, when we discussed, one is short term, another is medium term, and the long term financial requirements, right? In any individual in their life cycle, which we go through that, right? And as a short term, when we talking about the short term investments thing, you need to keep that liquid money, what you want to do that, things. Before putting into these three buckets, one more thing which I want to touch upon is that asset allocation, which is very, very important in your overall wealth creation is happening. And because there are two things in your wealth creation journey, which is going to be a leak in your wealth creation. One is inflation. Second thing is taxation.
Very important aspect, I guess.
Yeah. So both of them is not in your control. Inflation is, everybody has the inflation across the board, and taxation is that you need to pay, or your employees is anyways going to cut before even you get your salary. So when you are getting an income which is after the inflation and the taxation, so when you are investing it, you invest in an instruments or plan it in such a way that you don't want to pay more tax when you are investing on this thing, right? Look for the assets, or look for the products where you can able to one, you do your tax planning, as well as also able to compound that money instead of paying that money on a regular basis, like your PPF kind of a thing, the retirement funds kind of a thing. This all compounds it over the period. You don't need to pay the tax on a yearly basis. So when you're taking out the money, that time only you're going to pay the tax. So that compounding effect will keep, help you to generate a bigger return on that. So when you're...
Another thing, when it comes to inflation, to have 5% as an inflation, is it the right parameter to have, or should a person look into it a little more than that?
Yeah, so yes, so any instruments which you are investing, right, it has to beat the inflation, right? That's where, that's where the purchasing power, right? The money which you are holding has to have better purchasing power than the previous year.
Right.
And so when we see says that it is a 5% is what the inflation is, that wherever you are investing, it should generate more than that, right? And so as we discussed in the previously, that you need to create that short-term emergency fund, or the medium-term, your say education, or your mortgage-related thing, and the third is your long-term wealth creation thing. There is a return expectation from all these three, right? So you make sure that your short-term fund, which you have been kept, the liquid funds, at least should generate slightly higher than the inflation. Right? If your inflation is 5%, at least that shorter funds where your deposits, or you kept it in a funds which is generating you at least 6%, right? If your inflation is 5%, so that at least you are able to make a percentage, or 1.5% more than the inflation. The medium term is what I say about is that at least it needs to have twice the inflation. Right, that's where that you will able to take care the liabilities which is going to coming in the medium term point of view, right?
Can you explain a little more on the medium term? What is the duration of it?
So when I say the medium term, it is anywhere between 3 to 5 years kind of a time frame, right? And where that's a time where you may commit to some liabilities, whether it can be an education loan, it can be a mortgage loan, your kids' education, and other things, where you are getting into a liability something. So that is the time where when you are keeping that set of funds for taking care of that, and that money has to at least double the inflation. So that you will be able to compound that over the 4 to 5 years period, double the inflation. So when you are talking about that 5% inflation means at least you should have a 10% kind of a return.
Minimum 10
kind of thing. And I don't think you can be, that's not a minimum. I think that's you can aspire for that, because it's mostly a debt oriented funds will be in that category. And when you are looking long-term wealth generation, that's where when we've spoken about 10, 15 years kind of a thing, that's where the equity comes into play. That's where that is the bucket which you can expect at least it has to generate three times of your inflation. So if your inflation is 5, you make sure that at least you have a 15% there. So in your 3 buckets, so eventually you are. I'm for a more simplified common man's perspective. I'm not giving any technical things and that. Just you need to beat the inflation in the in the short term.
Right.
Double your inflation in the medium term, and make it at least 3 times of inflation in the long term. Once if you can able to compound it, I think overall wealth creation in 15, 20 years, 25 years, I think you will compound it pretty well on this thing. So if you ask me, this is my
wonderful
blueprint if I want to put it.
A great insight, Hari, because everyone should know about it. And I find the financial prudence is an essential quality now.
Right.
You can't do without it.
Yes.
It is, my guru used to say, making money is difficult, saving money is difficult, investing money is difficult, giving away money is even more difficult. So, in that way, prudence, financial prudence in this, this clarity, this is where the intellect comes in. Intelligence you need, intellect you need, also you need to, one is identify a right financial advisor like you, and then surrender. Means when I say surrender, with all knowledge, surrender, and patiently wait.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I get it. Excellent.
Yeah, Sriji, I want to just take from here on this thing. Behind this material wealth, what does a true spiritual richness look like?
Right.
Right? So...
See, I'm glad you're asking this question. Most people, when they speak, the discussion about wealth comes in, it's only on material terms. But there are other wealth.
Yeah.
And I wish the world takes note of it. There, few in simple terms, material wealth is essential. What money can do, money alone can do.
Yes.
Money is not everything, but without money, nothing is possible.
Right.
If you're having a podcast, it's money. So money is an essential aspect. They say money, position, the opposite sex, they are all great slaves, but terrible masters.
Yeah.
So let's have there are other forms of wealth. Well, I would say one is adventure wealth. When it's adventure wealth, you have an interest. They may have an interest in writing a book,
right,
or singing, or playing an instrument, or trekking. That adventure wealth also should be there, because that avenue lets a certain desire get fulfilled.
Okay.
Adventure wealth. And next is that, which is part-time. Another is physical wealth. If you can sit in a place quietly and think, without, your knees are paining, back is paining, you want to meditate, but there is a neck problem. That physical wealth is, I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal. See, if you can recognize your stomach, which means there's a problem with the stomach. If you can the eyes are, if you can recognize eyes, there's some problem. Otherwise, it meticulously functions. The physical body, physical wealth is everything functions in the way it has to function. If you can have it till the last day of your life, can you imagine how wealthy you can be? You may have all the wealth, but you can't travel.
Yeah.
Because you can't walk.
Yeah.
You can't sleep properly. The 16 hours flight and all, very difficult. So physical wealth.
Yeah.
That requires discipline.
Correct.
Eating properly, sleep. In fact, sleep.
Yeah. The habits.
Sleep. Other habits.
Yeah.
In every aspect, physical wealth is so important.
Yeah.
And anyone has it. It's fabulous. It is fabulous. And it should be given all that adventure wealth or physical wealth, it has to be given a priority.
Yeah.
Not after a bypass or it should be given a priority. It is the third one I would say is emotional wealth, where you have all emotions, but you are never emotional. That's a phenomenal wealth a person can.
So how you have an emotion and you don't have an emotional thing? Can you?
When I say you have, see, the being emotional is what? You are a victim of emotional drama.
Yeah.
Something or the other, screaming, shouting, crying, throwing a fit, and wanting your way. It's emotional drama.
Yeah.
And that deprives you of peace and happiness.
Yeah,
Emerson makes a statement: for every minute you become angry, you lose 60 seconds of peace. Every minute you become angry, you lose 60 seconds of peace. Blaming others
Yeah.
for whatever you're going through. You're having a victim mentality. And all that I'm saying is, emotional wealth is the emotions are under your control. Not, you're not swayed by the emotions. We keep telling.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
When you become emotional, you're not in control. The emotions control you.
Yeah.
It is we have allowed an external entity to control how we think and behave.
Yeah.
So emotional wealth is irrespective of whatever happens externally, internally there is a certain sense of calmness.
Yeah.
The Christ was crucified, but his words were, Father, forgive them.
Forgive
They
them.
know not what they do.
Right.
Physically excruciating pain, mentally being tortured, Father, forgive them. See, a person who has material wealth or adventure wealth plus emotional wealth, forgiveness becomes quite easy.
Right.
Those who lack this emotional wealth, they find forgiveness impossible. I am trying to forgive this person for the last 5 years. I'm finding it very difficult. How can you forgive when there is hatred?
Yes.
So, it is emotional wealth is very, very important. People may take it lightly, but loneliness hits you over a period of time when you lack emotional health.
All right.
You could be in a palatial house, but nobody wants to visit you.
Right.
Only those staff you were there, they're also there because you pay money.
they are there. They are paying them a salary.
Otherwise, nobody. Emotional wealth is there's laughter.
Yeah.
There is internal joy, and a sunrise inspires you.
Yeah.
Or little children playing around, you see that it makes you happy. Emotional wealth is so important.
I read one of the book, and let's say in that this emotional thing which was talking about, this has been spoken by a doctor, and in US there is a rich ward where the one billionaire has been admitted as a patient, and then there is a normal wards where a janitor who works as a janitor in an office, he has been admitted on the in that floor, and the same problem, and the recovery happen for the janitor is much faster and quicker than compared to a billionaire. The reason is that 1 week period which they were there in the hospital, the janitor has got so many of visitors,
Right.
including their colleagues, their family, their friends, and other things. So emotionally,
Right.
he got able to recover much faster.
Correct.
When compared to a billionaire, in that 1 week period, his sister only one who visited.
Correct.
So it is that emotional thing which
has
brought
a-
that health back much
Correct.
faster, quicker.
Correct.
Say compared to say even if you have a wealth.
There's this statement, right? Illness, when you replace I with WE, illness becomes wellness. So it's like, even they say, Ayurveda highlights, if a medicine is administered by the near and dear, meaning your children take the medicine or your wife takes the medicine and gives you, the healing is faster.
Much faster. Okay.
Healing is because you know that somebody
is care
they're
about
there,
you.
care
Yeah,
about you.
yeah.
You belong to a place.
Yeah.
Imagine you're by yourself. Where is it? Why should I heal? For what?
Yeah.
Who's there? So emotional wealth, isn't it? There, which means what? There's laughter.
Yeah.
Even if there is tears, the tears of gratitude.
Yeah.
There is smile. Mother Teresa made a statement: if you can't give anything, at least give a smile. There's smile.
Good, yeah.
And you are happy for others' success. You got to be emotionally very rich to be to be happy for another person's success.
Yeah.
And you are sad for someone else's failures or shortcomings.
Yeah.
You're
Genuine.
sad for them.
Yeah.
That's emotional, wealth.
Yeah.
Intellectual wealth is you're a open-minded person. You want to read, you want to improve. You're not craving in information. You're like a student of life.
Yeah.
You're open-minded. You want to learn. You don't take anything for granted. You are curious. You're genuinely curious.
Yeah.
And everything looks like a lesson. It's not a failure. It's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And so in that way, it keeps your intellect agile, alert, alive. And the important thing it helps you is it keeps your ego under control.
Yeah.
One thing this quality brings in is humility.
Humility. Yeah.
You may know a lot, but there are others who know many things in their field.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you understand. So the intellectual health is there is enough and more humility.
Right.
It's like that's the reason we can surrender. When I say surrender, you take the guidance of a financial advisor.
Yeah.
They say, it is sunrise industry, sunset industry. I want to invest in this particular industry. You say, look here, watch out. If you want to invest in this could be your returns.
Yeah.
If you're satisfied with that return, you go ahead. So this is where the humility, intellect, a strong intellect understands your area of knowledge, area of ignorance.
Right.
So humility comes in.
Yeah.
Intellectual health. Next to intellectual wealth. Next to spiritual wealth. Spiritual wealth is because of the knowledge you've taken in and the life experiences you have gone through, there is a sense of gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Genuinely, you're grateful. It's not words. It's not just writing in a journal.
Yeah.
But genuinely,
Yeah.
When you say thank you, you mean it. It is not one message TQ. I always say, if you are grateful, you will genuinely, when you say thank you, mean it. Otherwise, don't say that.
Yeah.
Spiritual wealth is you find hundreds of avenues to be grateful.
Great.
Next breath is available to us.
Yes.
Isn't it a luxury?
Yeah.
Number one is gratitude. Number two is wonderment. It's literally, when you're sitting there, you wonder, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. There's a sense of wonderment.
Yeah.
You eat a bitter gourd. You wonder, how is that so bitter? I mean, who put that? You see a little child smiling. I mean, there's a sense of wonderment.
Yeah.
Those who don't have this wonderment, I've met billionaires. They can't smile for any reason. You have all that and you can't smile. A little child, that sense of a spiritual wealth is there's wonderment.
Yeah.
Your wife screams at you, you wonder at it. What diction, what memory. She remembers each and every mistake I've done with full detail. You wonder, I wish I have that memory. I mean, my presentation will be better, but that doesn't happen. I'm saying wonderment, jokingly I'm saying, but wonderment, you're walking in a park.
Yeah.
Now the weather is
appreciating
winter. That wonderment is, there is a acute awareness, there's a larger scheme of things happening.
Yes.
Wonderment. So, and the last one in the spiritual wealth is acceptance.
Right.
Eventually, acceptance is the king of all qualities. One day you got to accept that there's something called an exit.
Right.
Even in an investment, there is an exit.
Yes.
You exit at some time.
Correct.
You made money and you exited.
You have to exit.
Yes. There is an exit.
Yeah.
That acceptance comes in. Gracefully you accept. Gracefully and pleasantly you accept. So gratitude, wonderment and acceptance is spiritual wealth. You may have all the material wealth, but you're only cribbing and complaining.
Right.
Nothing creates a sense of wonderment and enormous non-acceptance. You will use the material wealth to destroy yourself. So, that's why I say wealth, if you have adventure wealth, physical wealth, emotional wealth,
and
intellectual wealth, and spiritual wealth, the material wealth you have is not just a blessing for you, it is a blessing for one and all.
Yeah.
It is
I think
there are
that
different kinds of wealth,
yes.
which is there, and I mean, you come under the financial advisor role, I come under the spiritual
Yeah.
field. It is. I wish more people understand that there are different forms of wealth.
Yeah.
And you need to have material wealth, but have other wealth also.
Yes. I think the overall in your wealth creation or wealth generation is just one portion of
Correct,
it, right?
correct.
And within the overall your life thing, and what you have spoken about the gratitude and the thing, which is most important. People forget that, and we all think that everything has been the whatever we achieved.
Correct.
It is all due to us and my skill. I achieved this thing, but it is also the luck factor which is also involved in this. All the environment which has been made you to achieve that, right?
So
that's what we
many-
say, that right time, right place. You are there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So many factors go into the result of an investment being right or a person becoming successful.
Yes.
See, this is where a strong intellect becomes acutely aware, and we can call it as luck, but that acute awareness makes you humble, and that success becomes a blessing for a person, and that wealth becomes an avenue to share with others. So I wish more people understand the different forms of wealth and aspire to get it. If material wealth takes 10, 15 years, this, as you mentioned, saving should start from the day you started earning.
Yeah.
The other forms of wealth also should, that interest should come in from the
I think
first
that maybe start before even you start earning it. Right?
Correct.
Your gratitude towards your parents, gratitude towards your gurus, gratitude towards your siblings.
Correct. And wonderment. I'm a big believer in it. Wonderment and acceptance. See, without gratitude, wonderment doesn't come. And without gratitude and wonderment, acceptance doesn't come. And when all three are there, no market will topple you. I'm telling you, I can guarantee you, no market, even the market goes down, Hari is there. I mean, that Hari is there. He has some ways. He will help us out. That conviction comes in.
Yeah. I think we have to be general optimistic. I always say when you are in a wealth creation journey and a thing, you can't be a pessimist. You have to be as optimistic as you can be. So you have to be optimistic at the macro level.
Correct.
For this thing. You may be a pessimist on a specific thing, right? When you are evaluating a certain company or anything, you have to vary your pessimistic thing, where we go wrong, what is the risk involved in this thing. But overall, in general, you have to be as optimistic as possible. That's where help you not just only your investment journey, but even in your personal thing. Because if you are an optimistic person, you will know even there is a problem, I can able to come.
Correct.
I will able to solve it.
There's the statement about optimist and a pessimist. A pessimist is one who looks at a problem in every opportunity. And an optimist is one who looks at
opportunity in every
problem. So it's just another aspect of it. But I agree. In fact, I would suggest let's become philosophers of life.
Yes.
The acceptance also is there.
Yeah.
And the willingness to work on ourselves also is there.
Absolutely.
They're wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. Next,
the next question I have is diversity in investment.
Right.
Is it truly within the reach of everyone? Because the general notion is you need to have a portfolio which is diverse in various aspects.
Diversified.
And you need, is it possible for a simple person to have it, or it's a reality for everyone?
No, it's a reality for everybody. It's only, but you does not know that you are already diversified, right? One thing I can see when we say a diversification, right? There is only 4 buckets, right? Once again, and when I go back and think, one is a fixed income, right? Second thing is your real estate, and third thing is the gold, and fourth is equity. you don't have the fifth. Okay, the fifth one is now emerging, which is the cryptocurrencies and other things. So I'm just keeping that away from a normal person perspective. That so you have only four asset classes. So in any person's life cycle, if you look, surely gold is a part of that thing. When you born, you have been started giving the gold,
Right.
and you started accumulating the gold on this thing. So which is already been created on that. And the second thing is the real estate. When you will go and find, buy a house and a thing. And the third is a fixed income. When I'm talking about it, is it can be a fixed incomes like your bank deposits or your bond funds or something where your risk is also still limited, and you are also been given the fixed thing. And the final one is the equity. That's where the whole thing comes in, right? Within this four diversified thing, then you can further diversify. So, okay, in a equity, whether I will go with large cap companies or I will go with the mid caps or small caps, another thing that is. But the general overall diversification is within this four category where you will be investing on there, and it is pretty much possible in everybody's financial wealth. You can create it around this thing.
Wonderful.
And the only thing I, as initially also spoken about this thing, is that make sure that your mortgage on this thing over the period
Right.
should not have a bigger asset, because which is
Right.
an illiquid asset, right? The more you become older, the more the liquid assets it needs to have,
Right.
and not the real estate, which is an illiquid assets on that.
That's wonderful.
Shriji, I want to ask you one. See, we just discussed about wealth creation, wealth generation. I want to now talk about giving back, right? How does giving back multiply your own prosperity, the ripple effect?
Right.
What's your
It's
view on that?
It's a great question. In a ripple effect of your own prosperity and giving back as a auto response. It is there are great examples in our country whereby giving back to the society was an ingrained quality. The example is Tata Group. I was stunned by the response the demise of Ratan Tata had on country as such. Everyone felt the loss of an entrepreneur.
Correct.
He was highlighted, or he was respected. If we talk about people, the admiration and respect he gained, not out of the companies he formed, but for the giving, philanthropic the process.
He has been known as a philanthropist who was who was passed away then, and a businessman.
Then as a businessman, see, he could have used the money for himself, bought another few private aircraft. He has their own airline. But the grandeur of him, or why people wept when he passed away, unknown people, the kind of admiration and the respect people had for him, because not for the money he made, but for the money he shared. And joyfully given. Joyfully given. In simple terms, each one of us, if we inculcate that conscious leadership, that you make yourself responsible, accountable for yourself and your near and dear and the immediate environment, that's essential. So it is, I'm giving you one is Tata Sons, another is my uncle Nalli Kuppuswamy Chettiar. I mean, he's 80 plus, and the conscious giving. If education and for music, for promoting arts and culture, conscious giving. Conscious giving. Joyfully he gave. And he still gives. And it is, and he's more, let's say, the respect and admiration towards him is more for what he shared, what he gave, rather than what he made. There are maybe people who are 10 times bigger than him. But the respect and admiration comes from giving. So this is where, when you make money for yourself, that notion of money can do little for me, but it can do lot through me. And you should have the joy of sharing, caring, giving. I strongly suggest all entrepreneurs, all youngsters, read this portion on Khalil Gibran's the book Prophet. In that, there's a chapter called Giving. We should read it, learn, and align with it, and as a result, you joyfully share and give. And once you start doing it, I'm telling you, the sky is the limit. I have my own, one of our well-wishers, Mrs. Neena Nayak, who feeds over 100,000 children every day in India.
Yes,
Joyfully.
Joyfully.
She gives, joyfully.
Right.
And none of them make a noise. I don't think Ratan Tata made a noise during his time. Everybody came to know after his time. There's the statement, everyone have something nice to say about you. For that, you have to die first. So, but in a lighter vein, but giving back, the ripple effect is someone else will get inspired and gives. And all that I'm saying is, you don't need to reach the state of Ratan Tata to give. In your own circle, in your own ways, you can give. And giving, whenever you genuinely give, there's a smile, there's a joy. Whenever you hold, aggrandize, there's a frown. So, nature, divinity has created all of us with the understanding that we will also give. There's this example.
The more you give, the more you receive.
Correct. In fact, the only way to receive is to give. The only, and they say the greatest form of charity is conference of knowledge. Greatest form of charity, conference of knowledge, which is what inspired me after the course of the Vedanta Academy. Greatest form of charity. It's not that we are giving. The quality of giving is wonderful. So it could be there are various people, but if you ask me, this notion of this is where you have used your mind carefully. You are able to strengthen your intellect, discipline your mind, give it a direction. It didn't take the form of a greed. The value system were intact. You are aligned with the higher thoughts of life. And as a result, giving was inculcated from an early stage. And as a result, we see
it's part of your life.
And it should be a part of our life.
Yes.
It's like if the Tata Group can give 67% of their earnings, just imagine. We can all give in 6.7% or whatever ways. So, I am more focused on the thought of giving. Act of giving should be there. But the thought of giving is even more important. It is you give and the thought is maybe a little more I should have given.
This is where the whole thing, even Warren Buffett's, when he gave the thing and some portion only he gave to the family and remaining other things he given for a philanthropic thing. So he's one of the very famous quote is that wealthy parents should leave their children enough so they can do anything, but not enough that they can't do anything. It's like that. You have to give him only certain portion. Remaining, I think you should share it with others, and it should be goes to the society and the community.
Correct. It has to. Otherwise, they do nothing. You give enough for them to do something. You don't give so much, they do nothing. And that's a strain. So wealth in the hands of good people, a lot of good can be done.
Right.
And I genuinely wish a lot of people become wealthy because so much good can be done. Few takeaways, as you were mentioning, for those who were here, who were watching the podcast. Number one, being rich or poor has little to do with the quantum of money. Being rich or poor has little to do with the quantum of money. It does, making money does highlight, but it has little to do with quantum of money you make. It has much more to do with desire management. Number two, desire management is nothing but mind management. And mind management is having a strong intellect which helps you to deal with your mind, your emotions, your ego, and your intelligence in such a productive manner. As a result, you are able to sustain your wealth creation properly. And our promise, the promise of our mind and intellect is that all people can become wealthy and everyone can sustain their wealth creation provided you strengthen your intellect, you have the right financial advisors, and you are willing to go through the compounding process. So
Yes.
let everyone. I mean, let being rich be your choice. If you choose to be poor, it's a very poor choice you make. So make the right choice. Live by choice, not by chance. Live your life gracefully.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hari.
Thank you, Sridharji. It's a wonderful conversation we had. Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.